and gentlemen. Now, soft power lies in the ability to attract and persuade, whereas hard power, the ability to coerce and grows out of a country's military or economic might. Now, soft power arises from the attractiveness of a country's culture, political ideals, and policies. Hard power, on the other hand, is crucial in a world of states trying to guard their independence and non-state groups willing to turn to violence. In order to talk about this very important topic, we are very much delighted to have with us Dr. Ahmed Salah, Rifky, founder of Social System Engineering. Good afternoon to you, Doctor.
Well, good afternoon, Doctor. First of all, I'd like to know more about the system that you founded, which is the social engineering system. Would you talk to us about that, please?
Sure, of course. The social system engineering is to make a social system that can help and make a solution for the main problem, social problem like the poverty, the illiteracy, and from its roots. So this is the main purpose, and to manage the resources on a very smart way.
Okay, and so what are the factors that make up a country's soft power?
If you are talking about the soft power, it's the society itself is like a human being. So it has a muscles, which is its power on the ground, and it has a mind, and it has a heart. So when we start with each as a human being or as a society, the first thing is the power of the body itself and the muscles, and which is more powerful than the muscle itself is the mind. So the people, if it's smart and he can win someone he's more muscle, has a lot of muscles, and which is more powerful than the mind itself is the heart. And this is when we're talking about the subject of the powers of powers, we're talking about the heart, because the heart itself is more powerful than the mind.
Well, what about these soft powers? To what extent are they implemented in Egypt?
Okay, so to understand this, it's important to make a difference between the power of the body, which is the power, and the authority itself. The authority is coming from the mind. So the people that have authority is supposed to have a good mind. But there is something more powerful than the people in authority. It's the influence itself. So there is sometimes the people who has influence, who can influence the people who has the authority, as well as they can influence the people who has the muscles. So that's coming the soft power itself. So when we are talking about soft powers, it's long term, and it has the same objective of the rough powers, but it's very soft, and it has a long term. It's starting. We can start with the media, with the cinema, with the education.
But is it implemented in Egypt? Like, to what extent is the Egyptian soft power strong, or do we need to strengthen it yet?
Actually, we had our patriotism, of course, and nationalism. Before the revolution, 1952, we had very organized soft powers. It's talking about the singers, the actors, the movies. It's all sending a message and sending a lot of messages that we are always has the lead in it, in the art and in everything. And even after the revolution itself, for example, in Ismail Yassin, do you remember the movies itself? In the background is always the Egyptian military that you are powerful. So it's hidden messages and inside. So it's one of the ways of the soft powers. Take care, guys. We have very strong army in the background. So it's a type of soft power. So it was very organized, and it was well managed previously. We lost it a little bit, but I think that we are on the right way again to collect it well, and to start to have one plan ahead to have better organization.
Okay. Dr. Ahmed, for Egypt, what are the moments in our history when Egypt really enjoyed this type of soft power that you're talking about?
Yes, it's of course we have to differentiate between the patriotism and the nationalism. Patriotism, it's the geographic area that we are living in, and we love it so much. And patriotism, it's our influence itself. So I always say that Egypt itself, the borders of the historical border of Egypt is much bigger than the geographic borders of Egypt. So that means that our influence it was wild, and it was taking very long term. So if we are talking about Sot al-Qahira, for example, if we're talking about the movie itself, the action, the Egyptian accents, we have an Egyptian nationalism, and this is why that people till now they understand very well our accent and everything. So we have a heritage of that, using the soft powers like the movies, like the radios, the media, spreading the information. And all this, it was we had a very strong nationalism. It was, but we are.
Life better. How did you tackle that in your book?
Yes, actually, the art of possibilities. So it's there is nothing impossible, but it's very important. It's impossible because the reality itself make it impossible. So if you are talking from a long time, if you don't have ambitions, we don't have a dream, which is, by the way, it's imagination. It doesn't relate it by the reality. But this is what we make us today, with the ambitions as the imagination and what we want to be. That's why we are doing today. So the imagination itself is very important. So what I'm the book that I'm using something named the power of imagination. So how you use your power of imagination and to make the impossible possible. So this is the main purpose of the book. I'm quite sure that we are very rich country because we have very big land and we have a very big population, which is 104 millions. To work because we are a developing country and we have a lot of works to do. So how does it make sense that I have a lot of work to do in the country and have unemployment rate is very high. So making how to put using the imagination and using the education and the soft powers to motivate the people themselves to work on the projects and on the to make much better work. It's the point. So that's why the art of possibilities. We can start with the possibilities, and then we can make the impossible possible.
Okay, sir. Now I need to make sure that I am understanding the terms of powers correctly. Are we talking here about cinema, series, drama? Programs, theater, art in general, or is it songs, or are we talking much more than that, a wider scope than that?
Yes, we are talking on this. It's a very clear the art itself is clear way because if we are talking scientifically wise, since I'm an engineer, so tell me what your dream is. So I cannot put it into equations, but what your senses and what your emotions, it cannot be implemented. So you can describe it into the term of arts, into the term of acting, into the term of this. So the emotion itself, it can doing that. And the main purpose of the soft powers is the influence himself. Because if, for example, if I am man of authority and I have to take a decision, so I take the decision based on information that came to me. So whatever the information came to me, I'm going to think and take the action. From my point of view, I'm taking the right action because I have this information. But what if the information is wrong? So I'm going to take a wrong decision. But from my point of view, I'm taking the right decision. So the people who's providing me with the power, with the knowledge, they influence me. So it's very important to give me the right information. So that's one of the points that we have to mention. It's the source of information, who's providing me the information himself. And one of the important thing as well, that I always say that people are taking decisions based on perception and not based on facts. So how to build the perception, it's all using the soft powers.
Well, Doctor, I'd like to return back to your book, where there was a part of it where you talked about facing disappointments and creating a balance in one's own life. How can that be maintained?
Yes, it's very important to we are doing in the details. We forgot the big title, so we forgot why we are working, why we are getting married, what we are going to love. We forgot why. It's short term, but we forgot the purpose itself, the purpose of life. So it's very important to understand what's my purpose of life? Is it only to eat and sleep and live? This is it, and my ambition is only to eat better and sleep better and have a bigger house. It's not like this. It's not a means. We have a bigger objective. So when I talk about balance, yes, it's important to think. They name it life and work balance, to have your life, personal life, and with work balance. But I always say it's not the balance. It's the sense of being selfish and being we and supporting the community. So this is the right balance, because working is supporting the community. You are giving service to the community. At the same time that you need to have your own personal objective. So to make a balance between the selfishness and to be the team or the society or the social responsibility. So this is a very balanced to understand your mission in life.
Okay. Doctor, how are the concepts of social systems and soft powers interrelated? Are they in a way or not?
Yes. So when we are talking about social system, it's the most stable system. It's the pyramid itself, and since we are Egyptians, so we love the pyramid. So in the top of the pyramid is the role models. Why do we need the role models? Because people they don't know what they want. They're getting they're lost. So you need to build a role model in each profession and each role, social roles, so that people can learn from it. That I want to be that role model. That's all. So role models, which I'm talking about, the social, the soft powers, is the cinema. It's very easy to use the cinema to create very fast role models. Like we can see the movie, it's on the cinemas, and 2 days or 3 days the people on the street are acting like the movie. So you can create a very fast role model using the cinema. But it's very important not only the creating the role models, is to creating the means, because we have a lot of role models. We have the most rich person, it's a role model, but the people cannot understand how I can be like this, what steps this role model has taken. So it's very important to identify the legal or the steps that this person has taken to be a role model. So I start to use the social soft powers, which is I can start with the media to illustrate how this role model is doing it. I can start in the learning process, in the education, and to teach the people in the schools and university how to become this role model using the science and blah blah blah, and as well using the ethics itself. So there is a lot of ways. The soft powers in this term, it's a way to identify or to put some light on the means to reach and to act like the role model.
What about the role of the NGOs? How can they achieve the system you've invented or founded?
Yes, actually this is what I'm coming from, a background that's NGO, and our purpose is to support the community, but it's always to give painkillers. It's not to solve the problems from its roots, because we are supporting the government and everything. So the first thing that is very important, not only to see the NGOs, we have to see the NGOs as a part in a triangle which has 3 parts: the government itself, which gives the authorities, and we have the private sector, which has the money, and we have the NGOs, which understand well the problem of the community. So the three parts of the pyramid, or the three of the triangle, is very important to work together, because NGOs only understand the problem, but doesn't have the funds and doesn't have the authority to work and as well the government has the authority but doesn't have the money and doesn't have the understanding.
But they don't have access even to some areas.
So it's very important to understand and to integrate that three together.
Yes. Okay.
So this is the point.
Okay. Now, Doctor, what are the factors that affect the social system engineering?
Yes, social system engineering, it's like the infrastructure. So we can say that it's the core itself. So if we are talking about, for example, we are talking about politics. Politics, it's a politics system. It's used to deal with the economical system, to manage the economical system, to reach all the needs of the community. But the economical system itself, it has to serve the social system. So to understand it is very easy if you are talking about that tiny. For example, we have a Malikan. You know the Malikan, when we make a dress, we put it on Malikan, and then we start to make a dress on it, on a statue like Malikan. And Malikan itself, it's like the social system. I have to get a dress or
cover, Yeah.
a tissue, and the tissue itself, the resources itself, and to make sure that the resources covering all the body of the social system, so it reach all the person. And then later on we build on it the political system, which is another cover on it. So if we don't understand the social system well, we can get a dress from Europe, for example, very small, and we try to put it on the social system, which is not fitting well. So this is the problem, that the first step that we have to understand very well the needs and the wishes of the community, and then we build on it the economical system, and we build on it the political. So this is the rules, the core, the infrastructure, all the systems.
Finally, I'd like to ask you about the World Youth Forum. How do you see that in terms of your system of soft power?
So I didn't understand.
The World Youth Forum, and gathering the youth to talk with them, how can that enhance the idea of the soft power and your social system or social engineering system?
So if we're talking about the youth, it's the second generation. It's very important to build a second generation, second layer of leaders. It's very well to give them the facts and the problems, so they can start from now to understand it and try to solve it. And also, it's not only we invest in the leader. It's very important. The leader is the driver. It's not only important to invest in the driver alone. No, we have to invest also in the car that he's driving. So if I get the best person on the chair or the driving seat, and the car itself, it doesn't work, so it doesn't make the sense. That makes the purpose. So yes, it's very important to create second layers of the leaders, but it's also important to better organize and better assemble the car, so it welcome well the driver when it's come to its place.
Okay. Doctor, I would like to build up on the example that he gave us about the mannequin or the model, and how we should put the first layer, the social system first, and then the second layer or the second cover would be the economic, and the third would be the political. So the social system, in your opinion, is the main or the first base, if we may say. Here in Egypt, how do you see the social system in terms of what we're talking about? Is it a complicated one? Is it easy to build on the economic and political systems?
It's yes, it can. It's randomized, unfortunately, but it can be modelized, and we can understand it very well.
It has been changing.
Yes, and starting using the technology is very important, because all the systems are at the end of the day is serving the individual and serving the society itself. So the first thing, for example, to give you an idea, it's very easy to do it, and if we want to understand it, it's to make a map of consumption. And what does it mean? So it's based on the population of the Egyptian here. We understand this village and this city has the population, and I start to get to understand their needs, the items that they purchase in terms of product, in terms of services, and their wishes and their dreams. So this is the future. And then I make another map, is the map of production. So I understand what we are producing. Of course, between the production maps and between the consumption maps, we have a gap. So we start to make an investment plan. So to close the gap between the production itself and the consumption itself. So this is, it's one thing, but it's very easy to do it. But at the end of the day, all the systems, whatever it is serving at the end of the day in the individual. The individual himself, the citizen is the customer at the end of the day. So I have to serve it, whatever all the system. So I have to understand
to the needs of this customer.
Yes. So the customer, it can be individual, it can be family, it can be society. So it's very important to understand what his need, what he wants,
and adapt.
Yes.
To such needs.
And start to provide him by the quality that he needs, the price what he needs. So it's very important. So this is the market dynamics. So this is the main cause which makes the market moving. It's the needs of the customers.
Well, Dr. Ahmed Salah Rifky, the founder of the social engineering system, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you for your hosting.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break.